Hello, welcome back. DJ Vic Vapor with you. So we've got a drum loop going, loop all chopped up, ready to go. And now we've got it layered up with some one-shots. And we've got a nice little pattern built in here. Kind of rocking and rolling, making progress. Let me go back to the arrange to show you what we've got. And one more quick listen before we go any further. All right, so let's take a look at treating these different layers and different sounds and getting them kind of glued together to make them sound really nice and fat and loud and lovely and warm and all that fun stuff, whatever you want to say. So we can go over here to our mix view. We can open up all our different layers here. And if we wanted to treat something like, say, the kicks or the hi-hats or the snares together, you know, if you click one, command, click the other, right click, there's really no grouping option. So one of the workarounds for not being able to group like that would be to add an effect track that now we can say command R, this will be the kick, and we can just go ahead and put down let's get a glue compressor in here, the glue, and let's get an EQ. Just use Bitwig's EQ here, EQ5. So now I've got my EQ5 and a glue compressor on a return channel, and I want to make sure I don't want volume, because now I'm essentially, you know, adding more volume. So let's just say, guesstimation wise, I'll just go like try to get close to a -6, and that should work for us. Now I want to take the kick, turn that return up, kick layer, and turn that guy up. So now I'm sending both my kick signals over to this guy. So let's take a listen. And there we go. And just to make sure I got good volume. Good. So now let's begin some treatment, and we're doing it essentially in a bust fashion. So let's work on our EQ a little bit. Let's roll off some of that. And I'd say 30. 30's good. Good place to start. Let's bring over our number 2, say around 150, 160, somewhere in there. And let's just dial that down a little bit. And we'll adjust the Q. Sounds pretty good. And it looks like we can roll some of this top end off. Don't want to get too much away. Let's move that Q up a little bit. Sounds pretty decent. Now let's go ahead and get this glue going. So on the glue, I'll probably just grab a preset. Let's go with the glue 2. That's usually pretty good for drums. I'm going to go with that one. So that now we've got our kicks kind of glued together and EQ'd the same. Let's listen to them in the mix. Let's do a little before and after. It's before. This is after. So yeah, kicks are sounding pretty sweet. So let's treat the let's go ahead and treat the snares kind of in a similar fashion. So I'll add another effect track, and we'll get a snare title on this guy. All right, and on Speaking of snares, definitely want to have some EQ, so let's go ahead and grab us an EQ, and let's make sure we do the same thing with volume. Real quick here, 6 or so. And EQ 5, and then probably put another glue. Actually, may put some reverb. Yeah, let's try reverb, and then let's add a glue compressor behind all that guy. And the glue. Okay, so turn it off. Let's get our snares over to our return track. And let's listen to those guys. Alright, so let's get some of that bottom end out of here. Somewhere around 100. Maybe a little bit more. Push this Q up a little bit. Right there. And it looks like we're kind of okay here, but just for safety's sake, let's roll up that Q. Let's bring it over. Somewhere in there, it sounds pretty decent. Let's see what we got with some reverb. Alright. And let's add some glue here. Kind of play around with what they got for this snare. And let's hear it in the mix. I'm going to leave that reverb off. I don't think it's necessary. All right, making progress. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our hats. Let's solo this guy, and definitely needs a little bit of life to it. So let's get the EQ in here. Let's roll some of this low end off. And I'll make this 5, make it a high shelf. Let's bring it back to around 3K. And let's drive it up about 2 dB. And then I will add some modulation. Grab the audio sidechain. Let's go over here to our dB. And just kind of eyeballing where I want it to go. Don't want it to fall too far below the line there. All right, that looks pretty good. And now let's just kind of dial in what range of sound we want to have activating it. And let's get this attack a little bit quicker. Yeah, so that's adding a little bit of movement to that sizzling high end side of it. Doesn't sound so stale now. And I'll just, now that I've got that, I kind of like what that is. I'll just go ahead and, now that I've got device selected, we will right click, copy, and we'll go over to our open hat, solo it. And let's give this guy a paste. That's weird. Had to use Command V. It wouldn't do the copy paste. That's weird. Anyhow, this is the same EQ. So let's go in here and take a look. Yeah, we still got everything working right. I think on this one though, I think I'm going to go up a little bit more. Yeah, I give it just a little bit more sizzle there. All right, let's hear them together. And let's hear everything in the mix. Bear with me just a moment. I noticed something. That was weird. The return tracks weren't firing. I couldn't figure out what was going on there. I'm just listening to everything, kind of dialing it in to taste here, so bear with me a moment. Yeah, so there you go, treating it, isolating it, getting the EQs, getting everything set. I'm using headphones, probably could do a little bit better on the studio monitors, but for the sake of feedback for the microphone, we are on headphones. But what I'm hearing sounds pretty decent. But again, it's just tutorial sake, so we don't have to dive into fine-tuning it to perfection. We just want to get the general technique and idea down. So let's move on to a next tutorial and see what else we can do with our newly found drum kit.